record now. So this is recording. All right. So I will get started. As I said, so Jen is my lovely co-host this evening. You can't see her, but she's a registered dietitian, and she's going to be working with me tonight with this webinar, answering questions in the chat. So if you have questions, I'll ask that you enter them there. I'm going to try to continue on through the webinar, and then we have a Q&A at the end. So if there's anything at the end that you want to have a discussion on, please feel free to let me know. And I'm just going to ask you to mute your end. If not, just as I said, this was put into a meeting mode, not an actual webinar mode. And then last but not least, I'm going to be admitting people as we go. So if you see me every now and then losing my train of thought, you'll know what that is. So let's get started. Well, thank you everybody for coming tonight. It's a beautiful night outside, so I wasn't sure of our attendance, so I really appreciate everybody taking the time to be here with me. We're going to get through this in about roughly 45 minutes. I tend to talk fast. I might be a little slower today with my my root canal that I had done earlier, but it's about a 45-minute talk. And tonight we're going to be talking about winning at weight loss. Let me just move this thing over there. Okay, there we go. So who I am, in case you're wondering, my name is Ashlie. I'm the founder and owner of Aeryon Wellness. I'm a registered holistic nutritional counselor. I'm an ISSA trainer and eating disorder recovery coach. I've been in this industry for 18 years in supplement sales. I've been across the country and worked with a variety of different companies. In 2020, I was voted top 100 health and wellness influencer. I have a #1 book on Amazon called Bulimia to Balance, and I'll be discussing a little bit of that when I go into my story in a couple minutes. And I have 4 cookbooks with my little daughter, Michaela, Fast-Paced Mom Cookbooks, and I'm the wellness expert on Pulse 107.7, so Pulse out here in Vancouver, Pulse 107.7. And of course, my most prized job to date, and my real purpose and reason behind my brand and who I am today, of course, is I'm the mother to my beautiful little girl, Michaela. So when we get kind of started on this topic, I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. I'm sure everybody's heard of the word diet, been on a diet, had a friend that's been on a diet, familiar with this word. And I think when we think about the word diet, a lot of us have this image. Usually this is about 11:59. This was me, 11:59. The diet begins at midnight. Or this is me after I've had one too many cookies and I've gone way over on the other end. Because when we think of the word diet, often that really constructs an idea of restriction, of deprivation, of you can't have this, of taking things out of your food, all those kind of things. Or you might be somebody like our friend Charlene here. And I think we've all resonated with this one here, right? Fed up with how her diet is going, Charlene takes a more serious aim at her weight. I don't weigh myself on scales anymore because I find it messes with me too much. So obviously we can all know kind of the way diets and what diets have played out and how they mean to us. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about how dieting came to be a big part of who I am and why this talk is really important to me today. So I'm going to take you back to the very beginning, as Buzz and Woody would say here, and go back to when I was about 12 years old. And that's when I started my first diet. My dad was a bodybuilder. My mom was a competitive figure skating coach. And so athletics and aesthetics were always really important in our household. And so I was given smoothies at the time because I was quite overweight and teased quite relentlessly. When I was 13 years old on the left, I joined my first Weight Watchers meeting. And as I sat in that meeting, I realized I was too much and not enough all at the same time. And that story really carried through to me for the majority of my life. And in my 14th, 15th year, I started bulimia. And I struggled with bulimia for about 25 years. And extreme dieting and anorexia and a real self-loathing of self, really. And in my 20s, I found fitness competitions where I was really able to disguise my eating disorder. And it was almost like a glorified eating disorder because people thought I looked so great and I was doing so well. But what would end up happening often is this picture on the left, that was my very first show. The middle would be about 6 months later. So what I would do with this whole on or off or all again or nothing mentality I would have with dieting, I would be competing and really strict, or I'd start back into my bulimic tendencies and eat whatever I could get my hands on. And the only way I could abide and look a certain way as if I was super strict in that competitive mode. This is one of the last shows I did on the left. That was the Arnold Classic down in Columbus, Ohio. And this picture on the right is about 6 months later again. So I really struggled with this on again, off again mentality with food and diet. And at the time I'd had one of those, the days you have where it's going to start Monday, it's going to start New Year's, it's going to start my birthday. And that was my thing, but that was more so with getting my eating under control. And I binged again. I went upstairs to purge, but this time was a little different because this time there was a knock at the door and it was my 3-year-old daughter. And when I rose up and I caught my reflection in the mirror, I realized in that minute, and I'd seen that, like my eyes were watering, the whole thing. I was like, this is going to be her. she is going to have this disordered relationship with food. She is going to hate her body like I do. And that really became my why, to make a solid change in my life and do something very, very different. And that's when I really began embarking, because I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. A famous saying, right? I really had to make a conscious choice that I wanted to make a big difference in my life. And not only for me anymore, it was really about her as well, and having her see a mother who had a healthy relationship with food and her body. So I began to look back and think of, I've worked as a coach and a trainer for many years. And I began to look at all the women and men that I've trained throughout the years, and they'd come, and we'd work out, and they'd get in shape, and they'd go off. And then they would, come back 3 months later and have it kind of gained it all back. So the same kind of idea that I had struggled with this on again, off again thing, right? So I began to really pick it apart. I'm like, it's not just the diet. It's not just working out. It's really about looking at a holistic approach to weight loss, to health and wellness, right? It's the thoughts we think, the friends we keep, that support, that's really important, the food we eat, the daily movement, and then supplementation. And I really began how can I combine all of this together to really win and find health and wellness sustainability? And so that's what I'm really excited to talk to you about tonight. And so we're going to go through some of these points of discussion. So we're going to talk about mindset first, because I believe that's the most important thing that we really need to harness. We're going to talk about hormones. We're going to talk about nutrition, movement, supplementation, and I've got some bonus tips at the end as well. And I'm going to take a drink of water, because otherwise I'll forget. Okay, so mindset. Now, your mindset is a collection of thoughts and beliefs that shape your habits, right? And we have growth mindset, or we have fixed mindset. And in order to think of possibilities and creation, we must be in a more growth mindset. If I had thought I would never be able to beat bulimia, or I can't do something, that's a very fixed mindset. And that's really going to set me up for failure, because I'm not going to even try, really, right? So let me just move this for 1 second. Sorry, people, move this out of the way. Okay. So it helps with our beliefs and our attitudes about things. And a big thing I really had to use for myself, a big thing I had to use for myself was cognitive behavioral therapy. And so cognitive behavioral therapy, if you're not familiar with it, is thoughts create feelings and create actions. So what we think, and it's an easy concept, but it's what we think is going to determine how we feel about something. So if I'm thinking I can't do something, my feelings are going to be not motivated to do something. And then my action is going to be not to do anything. So I have a little exercise, and I welcome you if you'd like to share in the chat. Sometimes we've done the seminar several times. We have people who really share with us what's going on in the little chat box here. If you want to share, what is a negative story that plays in your head? Something that you have that, whether it be, why weight loss is really a struggle for you. So, I don't have energy. I don't have time. I can't do it. It's my genetics. All these different stories used to play in my head. And it's really important we look at what's the negative thought or story that plays in your mind. You can write this down for yourself, or just think it, or share it with us, that really is kind of holding you back. What's something that plays in your mind that you think could be holding you back? So if we all get that thought, kind of what that is, and really just kind of recognize what it is, you can sit with it for a minute. And then we're going to go into, you can share it in the chat if you'd like. And then now we're going to look at, pain. That's a good one, and age, for sure. For me, always, it was like genetics. I was told I was a big boned girl. What the hell's that? Who's a big boned girl? I hate that. Like, what is that saying? I was like, I swear to gosh. Yeah, I can show the previous slide for sure. So it's, what is the negative thought or story that's played in your mind? Right? Yeah, I used to have big boned girl. Here's big boned. I'm actually not big boned. Is that even a thing? Or I just can't. The one before this one? Oh, mine's this one, the cognitive behavioral therapy, not keeping fit in old age. Yeah, that's a good one. I can see that for sure. That's the slide I think you were looking for, Aeryon. Okay, so I'm going to go back to this one now. Okay, so then we're going to go to, what has this blocked you from doing, right? I know for me, I'm a big boned girl. It blocked me from actually participating in things because I didn't feel I could, or it blocked, and especially my, you're welcome, it prevented me from actually taking action too, right? Because that became my excuse. So what does this prevent you from doing? And last but not least, what is that counter thought, right? So what's a thought you can think that's a completely different counter thought? And I'll give you some examples here. I'm going to turn it on. Some examples of this would be, I'm big boned. So the new one would be, I am strong. It's our family genes. I control my destiny. It's not my family genetics. I control my destiny right here, right now, every day. I'm so fat. I love and appreciate my body. I can't stop eating. I trust my hunger cues. I hate my body. I mean, I spent years doing that. I'm grateful for my health. If I could lose just 10 pounds, I'd be perfect. That whole, saying. The scale does not determine my happiness. And I'm so tired till I'm so vibrant and energetic. And the reason this is so important, the reason I'm getting into this is because every thought, tired, yeah. I'm actually not familiar with that one, the hormone blocker, but I will, Jen can maybe look into it. And then I think I'm not going to answer questions. I'll wait to the end, but I'll let Jen maybe see if she can dig that one apart for you, Lena. So what we know is that when we are thinking thoughts, when we focus on negative thoughts, it actually zaps our brain's positiveness, right? Slows down our ability for our brain to function, and it can actually cause depression, just our thoughts. But on the flip side, but thinking positive, happy, hopeful, optimistic thoughts, it decreases cortisol. We're going to talk about cortisol in a couple of slides. That's your stress hormone. Decreases cortisol and produces more serotonin, which is that happy hormone. So just the thought itself, right? That's why I was talking about having music that I really like, that I play whenever I'm kind of feeling a little down, because it picks me back up, shifting those thoughts. It's so important that we really pay attention to our thoughts, because they determine what we're feeling and how our actions are going to be, or our non-actions are going to be. And this kind of segues to hormones. So hormones are your body chemical messengers, and they travel through the bloodstream to tissues and organs. And over time, they affect everything that we do, be it growth, development, sexual health, metabolism. Your hormones are an intricate part of our body. Now, when we are discussing hormonal weight gain, which is our conversation tonight, so that's what we're going to stay mostly focused on, here are some of the top hormonal imbalances when it comes to weight gain: arm fat, chest fat, belly fat, cortisol belly it's called, love handle fat. You have hip, thighs, and butt fat, right? That estrogenic fat that tends to be there. So we're going to go into 5 different hormones. I think that's what I got here. So first we're going to discuss is insulin and how important insulin is. So insulin is that hormone created by your pancreas and controls the amount of glucose in your bloodstream. So when we eat food with carbohydrates, right, our body is like, our carbs turned into sugar, into our glucose, entering the blood. And then our pancreas is like, oh, we've got some sugar in the system. So it actually produces insulin. Right? So then that insulin takes that sugar that you've just had from your carbohydrates and from your food and gives it to the cells, kind of sucks it into the cells, and the cells then use it for energy. However, if we are eating too much sugars, too much carbohydrates, right? Those high fructose corn syrups, the chips, all those different high sugar items, it actually can create insulin resistance, because what ends up happening is there's too much sugar in the body. And your body's not producing that much insulin to shuttle it into the cells, so it gets stored as fat, right? And that's when you can become insulin resistant, which can lead to diabetes as well. So some of the symptoms that if you are finding you're struggling with insulin resistance, or if your insulin is out of balance, is you have that hangry, like you're really hungry, you get really hangry when you're hangry, or you have a really big crash after your meal. Like you're just exhausted after you eat your dinner, right? That could show you might have some insulin imbalance going on. So some ideas might be eating 3 meals a day and not grazing. I know we've been taught the whole 6-meal mentality, having all these little snacks along the way, but what that does, it's constantly spiking your insulin. So if you're somebody who's finding you're having those dips, try 3 meals a day at the same time, right? Then you're going to have your spike and then stop. Spike and then stop. My dad recently was just diagnosed with diabetes, so I've been working with him quite a bit, and he used to be a snacker throughout the day. Now we've really compiled his meals to 3 a day, right, to really monitor his insulin levels. Another thing that is so important, and this is going to be a common theme through each of these hormone slides, protein with every meal. Ladies, we do not, and gentlemen, but ladies, we do not have enough protein in our diet. I know we think we do, but we really do not have enough protein in our diet. So making sure we're getting that protein in our diet. We're going to go through a little bit of that coming up. And avoid those simple carbohydrates, fruit juices, processed foods, all those high glucose, corn syrup, sugary items. That's going to spike your insulin levels, and then your body's not going to be able to utilize all of it. Trying to keep our blood sugars levels stable during the day as well is going to reduce stress on our body. When our body's constantly pumping out insulin, it stresses our body. And then using resistance training. We're going to talk a bit about movement eventually, but exercise has an insulin sparing activity. So we'll use up some of that sugar as well. Next one we're going to talk about is leptin. So leptin is the hormone secreted by the fat cells to tell you when you're full. You know, if you've had if we had an Easter like we normally would, I think all of us would experience that after dinner turkey glow. We're all laying on the couch, really full, can't move much, right? However, what's fascinating is people that are overweight tend to have 4 times more leptin. So they actually can have leptin resistance, which means they're not feeling full. And this actually ties in really closely together with insulin. So you become insulin resistant and leptin resistant. And some of the symptoms of being leptin resistant is you're constantly hungry. You're never full, right? You're always feeling really hungry. And that's going to show that maybe your leptin levels could be off. If you're feeling full after your meals and you're like, oh, that was a good meal, I'm really full, your leptin is working. And insulin resistance can lead to leptin resistance. So if you're finding that exhaustion after meals and then you're constantly hungry, you might be struggling with these two. So one of the things you can really look at is looking at your diet as well, as we talked about. Protein's another thing you can do when you're having these meals, but looking at inflammation in your body. So looking at more of anti-inflammatory diet, looking at like how much gluten you have in your meal, how much soy, how much dairy, really looking at more of an anti-inflammatory diet can aid you with leptin if you're having issues with leptin. And getting enough sleep. That's another common theme you're going to see in these slides coming up here. So it's funny, this is ghrelin, but I always call it grenulin, but it's ghrelin, but I always say the word wrong. I say some words really weird, like I call this a necklace. I get teased all the time for it. It's necklace, supposedly. But anyways, so ghrelin is a hormone produced in the gut, and it's often termed as a hunger hormone. So when you're getting that growling feeling, I just think he's really cute too, but he's growling feeling, that's when that ghrelin is kicking in. That's when, okay, you're hungry, you're looking for food, right? It's time for me to eat. And some of the symptoms, if your ghrelin is off, is that you're constantly feeling hungry. You're just never full. And in overweight people, they tend to be lower. So you're constantly feeling hungry. And it just doesn't tell your body to stop eating. You just keep eating and eating. You're just always looking for food to eat. Now, some of the culprits, of course, is to avoid sugar. We talked about that earlier with the insulin. Read those labels. Really look for that high fructose corn syrup because it's a primary culprit. It really can not only spike the insulin, but it's also going to cause you to drop. You're going to be tired, and then you're going to be hungry again, right? So the simple solution, as I said before, is protein with every meal. Really making sure we're getting protein with every meal is highly, highly important to help stabilize those blood sugars and to help your body feel fuller longer. Proteins balance blood sugar, insulin, leptin, and ghrelin. So important that we really look at protein with every meal. We're going to go over protein in a bit. Then we're going to talk about cortisol. So I talked about cortisol a little bit earlier when I talked about mindset and how if we think those negative thoughts, those negative despairing thoughts, you can produce more cortisol easily because you can kind of work yourself up. I think I know I've done that in myself, right? Where I can kind of work myself into a tizzy. So cortisol though is that stress hormone. So it's a good thing if you're getting chased by a bear, you want cortisol because you want that to pick up your energy, or if your child gets lost in a mall, that's happened to me, maybe. But it's really important we have cortisol, but it's not good if it's constantly pumping out, right? So when cortisol levels increase, the cells in our body become resistant to insulin, and we don't want that. We want our body to use the insulin to put it into the cells to get our body going and use that for energy. It's also another main reason for weight gain, overproduction of cortisol, and it also another reason for women to become estrogen dominant and hormonally imbalanced. Because if our body produces too much cortisol and can't produce any more, it's going to start using your progesterone and your estrogen. So it's really important using your sex hormones. So it's really important that we manage our stress properly as well. So some of the symptoms when we look at here is you can have a heavier midsection. It's called a cortisol belly, right? Stress belly. And I think right now, a lot of us have been under stress. This past year has not been normal. I mean, it hasn't been our normal year. And my heart goes out to the people at Eastern now having to homeschool their kids again, because that was really challenging last year for myself with my daughter. So lots of stress going on with us right now. So ways we can manage our stress, it's really important we do those things, whether it's sleep, meditation, painting, music, whatever you can do to kind of bring yourself, reading a book, going for a walk. Luckily, it's getting nicer out. Reducing inflammatory foods. We talked about that a little earlier, right? Your body will react by producing more cortisol if you're eating inflammatory foods because it's trying to protect you, right? So the dairy, the corn, all those different things, reducing some of those, eat at regular times. As I said, those 3 times a day, your blood sugar will be more balanced and your body won't be stressed. Doing regular exercise, trying yoga, those type of things. And of course, sleeping will help lower cortisol too and help with weight loss. And then last but not least, estrogen. So estrogen is the most famous sex hormone in women. It's made from cholesterol, and it really affects everything in women, essentially, our reproductive tract, urinary tract, heart, blood, vessels, bones, mucous membranes, the whole list there that we have. So it's a really important fundamental part to our systems. However, when a woman is estrogen dominant, we have too much estrogen in our body, it actually can cause weight gain. It also causes moviness, heavy periods, and irregular periods. But tonight we're going to be just talking more so about the weight gain aspect of things. Now, some of the causes of estrogen dominance can be food. Obviously, we talked about high fructose food, not eating very healthy food, water. Now, in Canada, we're a little more safe with our water. I tend to drink tap water, but I know in some areas of the world, you can't really drink the water. So that's why the water one is there. Personal care products, a lot of them have the phthalates in them. They have the unhealthy chemicals in them that can cause your body to produce xenoestrogens, which aren't good. Then we have gut dysbiosis. So our gut health is off. BPA and plastics, if you have a water bottle, make sure it's BPA free so you're not leaching plastic into your body. Body fat as well causes estrogen dominant. I'll show that in the next slide. Birth control is a really predominant one for estrogen dominance, and then chronic stress, as we talked about before with cortisol. So if we look at estrogen dominance, it causes more midsection weight gain, right? As we talked about, hip, thighs, that area. And when you have more weight gain, the fat tissue produces even more estrogen. And then it becomes worse because you have more weight gain because you're estrogen dominance. And it just becomes this kind of vicious circle. So it's really important that we get the estrogen dominance and get the estrogen under control in our bodies. So some of the symptoms can be weight gain around the hips, the thighs, the midsection. Of course, we're talking about weight gain here and talking about weight loss, sorry. So we're not talking about all the other things that can happen with estrogen dominance because there's other issues people can struggle with. So and when we have increased fat, right? So when we are having those areas, the hips, the thighs, the midsection of estrogen dominant fat, it actually increases leptin, and then we're not full, so we're eating more. So some ways we can do this, and some ways we can look at how we can address our estrogen levels is increase our fiber, broccoli, cruciferous vegetables, all those things. We're going to talk about them in a minute. Daily movement. Go for a walk. It doesn't have to be some intense, really good workout. It can be a simple walk, right? Getting movement every day in your body, with your body. Eat cruciferous vegetables, as I just said, vegetables, broccoli, kale, get those kind of good nutrients in. Avoid plastics, water bottles of BPA, chemicals, and birth control as well. Those are some different things you can look at to help balance estrogen. So some of the takeaways from this little hormonal section: protein with every meal. We have to start having protein with every meal. We're going to talk about that in the next part. Avoid those simple processed carbohydrates with high fructose corn syrup. Take a minute, look at the labels that you're buying. Set eating times. Maybe don't do those 6 times a day. So have 3 set times a day where you sit down and you really have those meals. Manage your stress with meditation, painting, self-care. Manage your sleep. I love to go to bed at night watching a little bit of TV. I'm so guilty of it, but if I don't turn that TV on, I can get to bed around 10:30, 11. Like I can, if I'm in the dark, I can go to sleep. But if I turn the TV on, I get captivated by Modern Family. And before I know it, I'm like 6 Modern Family in and I can't sleep. So that blue light, of course, we know is really important. So making sure we're getting those 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Eat those cruciferous vegetables we talked about, reduce inflammation, avoid plastic, chemicals, and birth control, and eat fiber-rich foods. So these are some different ideas and tools that you can use to help balance out those essential hormones. And those hormones are all very important for weight loss. So next we're going to talk about nutrition, which is one of my favorite sections. So let food be thy medicine, or medicine be thy food. I think all of us have really, this year has been, I found a lot of people really looking at health now. What am I eating? What am I doing with my body? How can I take better care of myself, especially with COVID-19? Oh, sorry. There we are in here. Okay. So I have a quiz, and in this quiz, we have a chance to win a prize. So this is exciting. So everybody get ready, get you on your feet, get you a little bit moving. Okay. So I love Stewie here. I don't know if anybody watches Family Guy, but I do, but I like Stewie. So he says, you can't look like this without the proper macros, Brian. So if everybody gets ready, I'm going to ask you a question, and the first person to type in all 3 will win a prize pack from Prairie Naturals and my brand. So the question is, what are macros? So the first person to answer, what are macros, correct? Anybody? Yes, who do I have? Oh, okay, Colleen Kinley. Colleen Kinley, you have won. It's the first one to put that one down. So Colleen, I'm going to get, and yay for everybody else for like guessing right. Colleen, Jen is going to send you my email address, and you can email me and send me your address, and then I will send you your prize pack. Okay. So I got that one for you. So that's that one. So protein, fats, and carbs are your macronutrients. Micronutrients are more your multivitamins, but these are your macronutrients. Right here, we got the slide: protein, fats, and carbs. Right, the 3 main food groups that we're going to be looking at tonight. So protein, you obviously have seen I've stressed the importance of protein over the past like probably 6 slides. It stabilizes blood sugar. We talked about that. It improves fat burning. Muscle weighs more than fat. So if we might be a little heavier, but you're going to be smaller, because I'm going to show you in the next slide, you're going to see the difference between the two. It stimulates muscle building, makes you strong, increases your metabolism. Muscle burns more than fat, improves learning and memory, promotes a positive mood. It's important for heart health. It slows down aging and also improves bone density. Women, we really want to make sure we're taking care of our bone density. I know I'm taking calcium right now. I started that a while ago. As we get older, it's really important that we take care of that too. So with protein, it's hormonal balance, right? That's the other thing too. It's going to help balance those hormones out: the insulin, the leptin, the ghrelin, the cortisol, and also to estrogen. All of those things, really, protein's really important. So protein is the building blocks of muscles. Just move this. Sorry, this is in my way here. Okay. And your body uses these amino acids. So protein's made up of building blocks, and your body uses the amino acids to build and repair muscles and to make hormones and enzymes. So lean muscle tissue increases your metabolism. I cannot stress this enough. Protein, protein, protein. A lot of us think we're getting protein. I promise you, you're not. So this is the calculation you're going to use. So you can either screenshot this, take a picture of it, or write it down. So what you're going to do is, I don't weigh myself, so I do a guesstimate. I say, like, I'm probably about 180 to be honest with you, but I'd say, let's say 160. But this person is 150 pounds. So you figure out what you are in pounds, in kilograms. So this person is 150 pounds. It works out to 70.3 kilograms. That is how much this person weighs in kilograms. You can Google it on your phone. It's not too hard to figure out. Then you times that by 0.08. And that gives you roughly 56 grams of protein a day is what you should be having. Now you can times it by 0.8 to 1 gram, depending on how active you are. I'm fairly active, so I would probably times it by 1, right? So I'd probably do about 71, 72 if I'm 150 pounds based on my activity level, because I work out pretty well every day. I try to move every day, right? So that's going to give you a base of how much protein you should have with every meal. So you want to have at least, if you're doing 3 meals a day, at least minimum 20 grams of protein a meal. If you have a couple snacks, then maybe it's 10, 15, but really taking a look now what you're eating and if you're getting that protein in, because that's going to help stabilize your blood sugar. That's going to help with feeling full or feeling hungry, right? It's going to help give you all those balances that we need. Also, to the immune system, which is another important takeaway with COVID-19, rely on protein. So really important we get those good proteins in. So some of the sources of protein we have, you can have chicken and beef, right? There's wild fish, there's salmon, there's lentils, there's eggs and chickpeas, and spirulina is another additional wonderful thing, chlorella, so those green superfoods, tofu, whey, and vegan protein as well. So I'm going to talk a little bit about protein. That's one of my favorites that I tend to use. I think having a little protein powder is a good thing. I don't look at this as a supplement. I honestly look at this as a food. This is a tiny, I don't know if you can see it here in the picture. That's theirs, but it's a tiny little tub. So it's not gigantic. It's not one of the big ones. I know sometimes that can get daunting. This is a vanilla. It's New Zealand. The reason I like the New Zealand is they don't use any antibiotics on the cows. And it's also, it's grass fed as well. So the milk's a higher quality. So the whey is going to be a higher quality. So you have 24 grams of protein in here. So you can either make a smoothie at night before you go to bed, or if you're having a little bit of oatmeal in the morning, you can add half a scoop after the oatmeal is cooked. It's delicious, by the way, if you have the vanilla. Put a little cinnamon on there. It's absolutely fantastic. That's going to help stabilize the blood sugar. So you're not just having carbohydrates, you're getting that protein in with every meal. There's no sweeteners or synthetic dyes. It's tested, so it's free of BSA and RBGH, right? The bovine hormone growth hormone. So it's a fantastic product. It's got a little scoop inside, right? I just have one little scoop. I don't know if you can see that because I'm not looking at my picture. Really nice and simple. Or if you're somebody that wants to just put it in a shaker cup, you can add to a shaker cup and shake it up. Or as I have my dad doing right now, because we're really looking at managing his diabetes and its insulin levels, he has this with a little cup, half a cup of berries in the morning, and he puts a little peanut butter in there. So a really nice, healthy breakfast snack. So that's something you can use. Another one, if you're a vegan, there's other tons of different options on available right now. So you can get brown rice protein. You can get, there's tons of different others, hemp protein, lots of different vegan alternatives as well. I like brown rice because it's a complete protein, has all those amino acids, those building blocks of protein that you need to have to make it a complete protein. And it has the same protein quality as a whey or egg whites and milk. And that also makes a nice, delicious smoothie. So just really looking at having something in your cupboard, it's a total worthwhile investment as far as I'm concerned. So that's the whey. So next, looking at healthy fats. We've looked at fats and how important those are. It helps balance your hormones out. It's for heart health. It's going to help regulate blood sugar, and it helps you absorb vitamins A, D, E, and K. So you need to actually have those fats to absorb those vitamins. Helps with brain support, joint support, stabilizes your blood sugar, detoxifies the body, and omega-3s are also anti-inflammatory. We talked about looking at anti-inflammatory diets, right? So including those heart healthy fats in your diet is really important. Now, carbohydrates. So we seem to be giving carbohydrates kind of a bad rap earlier in the talk. However, there are good carbohydrates. The carbohydrates that we were looking at that spike your insulin are not the whole grains, are not the really good ones that we want to be including into our diet, because those are like the rolled oats in the morning. Those are great things to have. Carbohydrates provide you with energy. They provide you with fiber to help your bowels move, right? We know that's important. Also, let this person in, helps with sleep, uplifts your mood, improves digestive system, provides vitamins, and provides phytonutrients as well. So we need carbohydrates in our day-to-day. Some good sources of healthy carbohydrates. You've got bananas. Now, bananas are higher in sugar. I get my dad, when he does his smoothie in the morning, he does a half a banana. He doesn't do a whole one, right? So looking at how much you're taking all the time. Berries and oranges. I love like blueberries. I'm a big blueberry fan and raspberry fan. I buy them frozen all the time and throw them in my smoothie, and they're not very expensive. You can keep them up in your freezer so they don't go bad. Looking at our fibers, vegetables, the summer squash. I love spaghetti squash in the summertime. You got cauliflower, all these great vegetables. Now we're kind of coming into salad season. I'm a crock potter in the winter, and now I'm switching over to salads. So now I've got lots more greens in my fridge right now that I'm making more salads from. The starchy vegetables we want to look at having are sweet potatoes, or you can have white potatoes, pumpkin, turnips, and grains, of course. Good whole grain food is what we're going to be looking at having. Next is fermented foods. We talked a little bit about gut support, right? Making sure that we're taking care of our gut. 80% of our immune system is in our gut. So making sure we're getting those fermented foods is another important aspect too. So if you are suffering from gas, bloating, constipation, we really need to start looking at your gut health. So ideas you can have is kife, sauerkraut's another thing. You put a little bit of that on your salad. It's actually not that expensive. You can make your own too. Apple cider vinegar drink, that's another way to actually help your gut health. Probiotics. And another thing too is poor gut health also increases the risks of PCOS, endometriosis, I can't speak today, and even breast cancer. I was frozen today, just keep that in mind. And so another thing what you can do is it's not only what you eat, but it's what you absorb, is looking at getting a good digestible enzyme, right? So enzyme force is one, is I can't even speak straight right now, sorry. And if you're somebody who doesn't have your gallbladder, you want to look at having a bile force. That's going to support your body if you don't have a gallbladder in breaking down fats. So I'm a big believer in digestive enzymes, there's my word, sorry. Okay, so next we're going to talk about superfoods. So superfoods, they just sound super because they're superfoods, but they have those large doses of antioxidants in them, right? The polyphenols, the vitamins and minerals. They're those rich reds and greens, like the goji. I don't know if anybody here cooks with turmeric, right? I use that in my crock pot usually in the wintertime. Kale, spirulina, chlorella, moringa, all these really rich spices, and also these rich fruits that come. So we've moved them into a powder form, and they help with the risk of disease. They help promote healthy gut microbes. They help with energy and boost stamina. They protect cellular health. They help reduce inflammation. We talked about that earlier. Slows aging. Who doesn't want that one? So that's the superfoods. And I'm going to talk about one thing I like from Prairie Naturals, and this is their newest formula. It's called Superfoods. That's what it's called. But in this, they've got 20 fermented. So we talked a bit about fermentation, how that's so important for our gut health. It has 20 premier fermented and organic-based antioxidants in here. So the fermentation actually creates more bioavailability, so your body's able to absorb it more. So they've got organic green foods in here like alfalfa, kale, wheatgrass, all those things that I think a lot of people go, oh, because it's really green. And it is green, but it actually tastes really, really good. And they've got fermented maca in here, turmeric, and beet. So all you do for something like this is there's a little scoop inside. And one of these would last you probably around, to me, it would last me probably about 30 days. You could do one scoop a day if you wanted to. Got the little scoop just like that, and I just dump it in here. It's a water thing. I take my trusty water and just pour it in, and then you just drink it like a juice. So you'd have it midday, I've always been I use about a half a cup there, and you just shake it up. And it has a light blueberry taste, but there's a lot more to this than just the greens. And this is one of the reasons I'm a big believer in greens. You also get organic mushroom blend in here. So you got got king trumpet, turkey tail, cordyceps, reishi, lion's mane, all these really amazing mushrooms are coming to the forefront. Then it's vegan, non-GMO, soy-free, gluten-free, and it absolutely tastes really, really good. So I'm going to go over a couple of the ingredients. I can't go over all of them because there's 20, but I will. It does taste really good, I promise. So, so that's one way to do it. And you just drink it like a juice during the day. And because there's no sugar in it, it's not going to spike your insulin levels as well, right? So really nice, great drink, I think, midday. So we have kale in here. I know we've probably really heard of kale. It's the most nutrient dense food on the planet. It's a powerful antioxidant. It has an excellent source of vitamin C, A, K, B6, and so much more. It's high with lutein, it's going to help with your eye health, especially if you're looking at screens a lot like we're doing right now. Then we have wheatgrass in there, reduces cravings, eliminates toxins, boosts your metabolism, boosts your immune system. They've added turmeric in here too. So that fights inflammation, that helps with arthritis. If you're somebody who is struggling with arthritis, I highly suggest they have a turmeric on its own, having that and using that in your day-to-day. It's really important. We have some of the mushrooms that I have in here that I put, there is more, but we have the reishi mushroom, which helps with sleep, anxiety, and depression, lion's mane, turkey tail, and cordyceps. So really looking how this little tiny blend really gives you a powerful punch for what you need. It has chlorella, 16 vitamins and 8 minerals, 19 amino acids. So it's a complete protein as well. It's the richest source of chlorophyll, highly digestible protein, has omega-3 and omega-6, helps with detoxification. It's anti-inflammatory. It's a liver detox. So I honestly, this is every day. I have a greens every day. 2 things that I consider more of a food base that I have in my cupboard at all times. I always have a greens, always have a protein powder. Always. It's just a staple for me. And you can put your greens in your protein powder if you really want to. So really 2 great things that I really love. And this is kind of their whole lineup. They have a whole bunch of superfoods. So if you are looking for them, they are a locally based company. They're from BC, been here for 25 years, family run company. So I really love that. So if you are into supporting local and supporting Canadian, definitely take a look at Prairie Naturals. And they're organic. I don't even know did I mention the organic part, organic too. So that's another big one. So really, really wonderful lineup from Prairie Naturals. So now we're going to do some other stuff. We're going to look at exercise. Don't we all just love exercise? So one of the things I like to think about is, what did we used to do as kids? I think that's a lot of the time when I've worked with women, especially, they hate the gym. They're like, I hate the gym. I don't want to go. I hate the gym. And I'm like, well, what did you like to do as a kid? Well, I used to like to play softball. Well, then join. I mean, now it might be a little different with COVID, but there's things you can do when you look at what you used to like as a kid, whether it be going for walks, or if you liked softball, or joining a Frisbee team club or something like that, looking at things you used to like to do as a kid, and maybe join a challenge. I know there's probably a lot of online challenges that we can join right now. And I will say, when I was home last year, I loved the gym. I always have loved the gym. However, I had to work out at home like many other people here, and working out for 30 minutes straight in my house, honestly, I can't do it. I'll be honest. I'll be the first person to say, I just can't do 30 minutes. I hated it, every second of it. I like to go in the gym, put my headset on. I kind of get lost in my own little world. So what I started doing was I did 10 minutes 3 times a day. So that was my commitment. So I'd get that 30 minutes in just by using 10 minutes. And if we sit here right now, so I want everybody to kind of, like, if you have some room, but even if you put your arms up in the air, if you all put your arms up if those you want to, and you even just pull down, like you're pulling heavy, not like you're just relaxing, but pulling down, and you squeeze your back muscles, like you do that 10 times, that's like you do that 10 times during a commercial break, and flex your back muscles. That actually is kind of a workout. Just that simple motion, just like 10 times you're doing that, and you can squeeze your back muscles. It's a motion, it's a movement. And one more thing, if you're on a Zoom call or on something, like I will do these on my Zoom calls and people can't see me, you can easily do push-ups off your chair. Like my daughter and I do a lot of stuff in the house that constitute as movement. It doesn't necessarily have to be just working out, right? Just doing these simple activities, going up and down the stairs twice when you have to go up once, right? Doing those kind of things to really get daily movement in every day. And I kind of look at it as my way of saying thank you for this body, that I get to move this body, that I get to exist in this body by making that commitment to move every single day. And so tonight, one of the things you're going to be getting is you're going to be getting 2 free meal planners, vegan and non-vegan. You're also going to be getting this little chart here. It's just a daily movement fun exercise thing. You're getting this emailed to you afterwards with also some mindful eating strategies as well. So toe touches, you got, you can do 10, you can do 5, you do whatever works for you, and you do these, right? You can repeat them 2 times, 1 times, whatever works for you, right? So it's just a way of really having something, if you want to follow, to do something every week to give you some ideas for movement. So we've looked at adequate protein consumption. I think I've drummed that one home. Stress management, right? Looking at how we're thinking as well, because that really falls in line with stress management. Looking at the micronutrients when we talked about the superfoods, those probiotic rich foods with our fermented foods, quality sleep, making sure we get that good rested night's sleep, consuming healthy fats, limiting those processed foods that are going to spike our insulin levels, moving our body, and consuming adequate fiber. These are all really important tools and strategies if we want to win at weight loss. And now we're going to look a little bit at supplementation. So when I began working through my journey and I did the eating right, did the movement, did all the other things, did the mindset stuff, there were sometimes when I didn't feel as motivated to work out, or my body wasn't still kind of responding the way I wanted it to. And that's when I began to look more at supplementation. And I began to work with one of the leading formulators in Canada, and we came up with 6 products that I currently have on the market right now. But I'm going to talk about 2 of them right now because they really pertain to weight loss. So the first 2 we're going to talk about, the 2 we're going to talk about is Lose It and Water Be Gone, and what these are and how they can help with the journey. So how our body tends to lose weight is our fat cells are full and we begin to lose fat, and water fills that up to keep the shape, right? And as we lose more fat, we'll retain a little bit more water, and the fat cells shrink as we lose weight. Right? So this is kind of how the weight loss, how when we lose body fat happens. Now, a lot of us, and if you're somebody like me, I'm very sodium sensitive. I can, like, I eat a salty meal and my rings are tight the next day, my shoes are tight the next day. So I began to talk to my formulator. I was like, I really want to create a product that can help women with water retention. Also pre-period, you can gain 5 to 8 pounds of water weight. Or if you're somebody really trying to embark on a weight loss journey, a lot of the time it's that water. If we can lose a little bit of that water in the beginning, it can motivate us to keep going forward. And this is where Water Be Gone came into the picture. So some of the symptoms you might have: bloating, if you're sodium sensitive like I was, swollen legs and ankles and puffy feet, stiff joints, and you also have indentations in your skin, right? So I'll go over some of the ingredients with Water Be Gone. So we've added black cohosh to this. This is really designed for women. It helps with menopausal symptoms, hot flashes, mood swings, and it's also used for prevention of prostate cancer in men. So if you have a hubby or boyfriend who looks at it and thinks it's just for girls, he can take this too. My boyfriend loves this product. There's dandelion in it as well. So that's going to help act as a diuretic and flush out any excess water that you have in your system. It also helps with weight loss by improving carbohydrate metabolism and reducing fat absorption. Then we've added juniper berry. So juniper berry is used for UTIs. So we have a clinical dose of juniper berry in here, a 4-to-1 ratio. It also helps support the kidneys, flush out toxins and impurities. And then we have milk thistle to support your liver as it's flushing out the excess water. And it actually works synergistically with NAC. So NAC is a precursor to glutathione, and that's the most powerful antioxidant in the body. So that's another thing too. And it's a potent liver regenerator. So really taking care of our liver. And then magnesium citrate. So that helps with any cramping, with PMS. It reduces bloating and water retention. So this product was really kind of designed for PMS water weight, help hormonal balance, and it also is really good for a weight loss solution. Oh, somebody else is joining. It's also good for a salty meal solution. I keep Water Be Gone on my kitchen counter, and if I have a salty meal, I'll have one before I go to bed. So I really just have it around just to use it when I need it. However, we're going to look at how we can combine this with Lose It, the 2 products together. So Lose It is the next one. I love Lose It. I take 1 every morning before I go to the gym. It's 2 recommended for weight loss, 2 to 3 a day. I love it just as a pre-workout, kick me in the butt, get me to the gym product. So I really love this product. So it helps anybody with a weight loss plateau, hormonal imbalance. You have that weight around the midsection we talked about, that estrogenic weight gain. But I do want to say that, you know, there is no magic pill with anything. So I would love to say this is going to fix everything. But as I talked about in the other slides, we have to look at our mindset, our nutrition, you know, look at our hormones, look at all these different pieces of the pie that all add up. And this is designed to supplement and designed to support you on your journey. So I just want to make that clear too. So let another person in. So we're going to go into some of the ingredients in Lose It. Yeah, let's go here. So we've included Indo-3 carbinol. So we are the only product in the market that is tailored towards women. So Indo-3 carbinol actually helps balance out estrogen in the body. So we talked about the importance of estrogen in the body. This is going to help support estrogen levels in the body. It prevents estrogen dominant cancers, and it's found in broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, all those things we talked about, the cruciferous vegetables that we talked about when we looked at estrogen as a hormone, right? So we have this product in there. It helps with that estrogen dominant weight gain area. Then we've added red pepper extract. So this helps as an appetite suppressant and metabolism booster. So what it does, it increases the heat in which the body, it increases the heat of the body, which will increase your calories burned. Then we've added caffeine. There is only a cup and a half of caffeine in each pill. So there's no jitters. That was something I was really concerned about because I don't like feeling I don't drink a lot of coffee. So I like to feel very in control. You feel fantastic taking this product. So it has canoleic acid as well, which helps slow down the absorption of carbohydrates. We talked about those spikes of insulin, right? So slow down the absorption of carbs. And also L-carnitines, this important amino acid. It helps with muscle fatigue, increasing recovery time. It helps burn fat as well. And then we've got green tea extract in here. So one of the reasons we're using the green tea extract is it has theanine in it, and theanine reduces the release of cortisol. And if you remember correctly, we were talking about cortisol before and how cortisol can have a negative impact on weight gain. So if we were giving our body something with a lot of caffeine and stimulating our body, that's going to produce more cortisol, and we don't want that. So what we've done is put a product in here, ingredient here, that's going to help balance that out and keep those cortisol levels at bay. So your body's able to do the job and help you with weight loss. And then we've added olive leaf, which helps with appetite suppression, it supports weight loss, and also helps with insulin sensitivity. And last but not least, B12. So B12 provides energy because it converts the food that we eat into sugar and supports the adrenal glands as well. So this one, the Lose It product increases energy, exercise enhancer, hormonal balancer, fat loss support, and helps. It's a low stimulant, so you don't feel jittery. And how I kind of recommend people to do them is you take them together. So how you would take them together is you take one of each in the morning and one of each at lunch. So this is going to help flush out some excess water out of your system. So you're going to see that dial move pretty fast on the scale. And then this one's going to support you with, of course, hunger. It's also going to support you with metabolism, estrogen as well. So those two together are a really awesome package. What I'm even more proud about is with Aeryon Wellness in the next couple months, you will be seeing, if you see the products in store, you're going to see there's QR codes on the front of every product. So every single product that we have and the new 4 that we have coming out, you scan these QR codes like you do at a restaurant. And with this, you're going to get a video that talks about the product. Every single product has their own video telling you what the product does, what is in the product, and if it's best for you. Each of the products have their own individual meal planners as well. So with this one, we have more of a weight loss one. We have a vegan and non-vegan menu planner that you're going to be getting for free tonight. Comes in the Lose It. Then you also have mindful eating strategies and workouts. But every product going forward has their own QR codes with support tips, strategies, and meal planners. So really looking at how to empower women to become their best selves. And this is a big passion of mine with the brand. And so I'm really excited to use QR codes to do that. So these are just some of the things you're going to be getting tonight that Finlandia will send to you. So I want to talk a little bit about some extra tips. We are what we eat. And I think that's something we have to remember. But as we think about that, I want us to remember about the 80-20 rule. And I've always tried to abide by this. So 80% of the time, I'm eating healthy and I'm eating good. And 20% of the time I let myself, and I don't want to use the word cheat because I don't like that, because that to me is restrictive, but I let myself, if I want to have a glass of wine, I'll have a glass of wine. There's no punishment in that. If I want to have a little bite of dark chocolate, I'll have a little bite of dark chocolate, because the minute I start putting restriction into my life is when I'm like a little kid. I want to do it more. So the more freedom I allow myself to trust myself and pay attention to when I'm hungry is when I actually can follow through and have more sustainability. Next, water. I drink a lot of water. So this is like my Aeryon Wellness water bottle. But what I do, if you're somebody who forgets to drink your water, so what I do every day, I usually take about 3 elastic bands. I put them on my water bottle. So I have 3 here. And as the day progresses, after I drink 1, I take it off, put it on my wrist, and I'll have 2 more. And I just keep going until they're all gone. So I got my 3 drinks a day, right? So that's another great way to really think about doing your water. It's going to help with skin health. If you need to use that natural flavoring, they have the little squirty things. Those are awesome. Or you can put lemon water, cucumber water, but water. It's going to help with the excess hormones as well and flush out toxins. And we talked about reducing sugar, but really looking at what your sugar intake is in during the day. I really believe a lot of it, we have to look at our nutrition. That's why I talked about nutrition. That's why I have meal planners in with the products, because we are what we eat, right? So really start paying attention to the amount of sugar you have in your diet. There's some really great sugar-free alternatives out there right now. There's Sweet Monk, which is a local BC company owned by two ladies. I'm good friends with them. And there's stevia, xylitol, some really good natural sweeteners out there that you can transfer over to. Next, mindful eating. We talked a little bit about mindset, but mindful eating, taking time to eat. I mean, I'm guilty of this as well. I'll be driving and then I'll stop quickly and eat food. And I'm like, did I even eat today? Like a lot of the time we're not present with our food, really getting in touch with taking the time to eat. How does it taste? Chewing slowly, all those things. I also practice a thing called, it's called more flexible intermittent fasting, but it's not a structured fasting. And I do a talk on this one too. But it's really about listening to when I'm hungry. So when I get up in the morning, some days I eat at 8:30. I ate at 8:30 yesterday because I was hungry. Today I didn't eat till 11. But what I'm doing is I'm not timing. It's really listening to when I'm hungry. So I'm checking in. I'm like, am I hungry today? Okay, now I'm hungry. Then I allow myself to eat. So it's really helped me fall in line when I'm hungry, and giving myself honoring my body to when it's hungry, not just eating to eat. Next, be patient and compassionate. I find this so fascinating with weight loss and with our bodies. We all want it yesterday. I think if we were going to see a doctor or a surgeon, we'd hope he didn't, get a certificate in a week. So it takes time, it takes time to have these new patterns and habits. And for a lot of us, we've had these habits, as I had for 25 years with my bulimic tendencies, and it didn't just fix itself overnight. It's taken me a while to get to a point where I have a healthy relationship with food, and I work out because I love to, and I have a different relationship with my body. So it takes time. I think we have to honor ourselves with that. If you don't want to use the scale, because if the number can trigger you, then do measurements or have your clothes if you want to go by, and focusing on the small wins, because sometimes that scale might not move because you might be becoming more muscular, you might be gaining more muscle tissue, but it's a win because you're actually getting smaller, right? Because as we talked about, muscle weighs more than fat, but it's also smaller too. So takeaway lessons from tonight is mindful of our thoughts, as your week goes on this week, really, when you have that negative thought come into your head, I can't, it's this, I can't do this, I can't do that, or it's because of this, really catch that thought and shift it. As I had to do today when I had my root canal and it was painful and it cost a lot of money, I put on my happy music and I was like, okay, didn't, still bothered me, but at the same time, I had to shift my state, right? Because I know I can easily tailspin. So really paying attention to our thoughts. Because when we pay attention to stress, it's also going to help, as we talked about, with hormonal imbalances in our body. Our body's not going to function the way we want to if we're constantly stressed and thinking negative thoughts. Creating winning food choices, right? Making sure that we're always looking to have those good fibrous foods, not having those high glucose or high fructose corn syrup snacks that tend to be so easy to grab. Movement for 30 minutes a day, supplement when you need. Water, reduce the sugar, start doing some more mindful eating, pay attention to yourself, pay attention to the eating habits, be kind to yourself, and use a plan to kickstart. I talk about diet in the beginning, and I had such a negative relationship with the word diet because to me, it just meant restriction. But I think we all need a plan. When I made the change, when I had my aha moment, I had to put a plan in place. I had to have something in place that I was going to follow because I needed some sort of structure. So nothing's wrong with having a plan. That's one of the reasons why we've equipped you guys with a plan tonight, so you can start utilizing that and use that and see how that works for you and see if you can really start putting some of those changes in. And at the end of the day, this is our story. So what do you want it to be? And when I look back to where I was with my disordered relationship with food, and I look at the relationship I have now and the example I'm able to give to my daughter, because that's been my real purpose behind all of this, right? Is to show her that you can have a healthy relationship with food. And every day we have a choice. Every second we have a choice to who we want to show up as. And so making that choice for yourself every day to choose and show up to be your best self. So tonight, one of the things that Finlandia will be sending you is they're going to send you a $5 off coupon for Aeryon Wellness that can be used in store, I believe it is, or online. They're going to give you instructions on how to do that. And there's $5 off either the superfoods or the organic whey as well. So, or the lean whey, the protein I was talking about. So that can be used in store. So they will be sending you these 2 coupons with the meal planners, the workouts, the mindful eating strategies as well. So all of those together, you'll be getting those today. And last but not least, I am a Canadian founded company. I'm women owned. And a portion of every bottle of Aeryon Wellness is donated to the Downtown Eastside Women's Shelter here in Vancouver. I've been doing that since I started the brand almost 2 years ago. I had some rough years as a teen. I made some choices that were not the wisest, and it had not been for these grassroots organizations working with women, I wouldn't be here talking with you guys today. So really important part of my brand is that part, is giving back. And we are very proudly Canadian as well. So there we go. That's the presentation. Okay, I went a little longer than 45. Let me see here. What we'll do is we've got, so if you'd like to follow or stalk me, I do welcome stalkers. We've got Aeryon Wellness, then we also have Aeryon, Ashlie, my personal page as well. So please feel free. Oh, somebody's drawing. Please feel free to, somebody's drawing the PowerPoint. That's interesting. Please feel free to follow me whenever you like. And then now we have questions. It's really odd how it's doing that. Okay, do we have any questions? I'll go into the chat room here. I know that Jen was probably feverishly typing here. Let me see here. All right. Jen, are you still there? Let me see if Jen, I don't know if Jen was able to, oh, so Jen was able to answer everybody. Yes, push up. Okay, good. All right. The superfoods, they do have the superfoods at Finlandia now. They do have the lean whey at Finlandia. I do know they do have mushrooms as well there. I'm not sure which ones though, because we don't really work for them. And yes, Liz, it would work for both men and for women, because men can be estrogen dominant as well. I would, well, it's not necessarily true. I think, so I would probably use the 0.8 for sure. If anything, you want to have more protein and lower the carbohydrates a little bit. So it's not necessarily you want to lower caloric intake. What you want to do, yes, you can shop online. What you want to do is have more, you want to have a little bit more protein and less of the sugar carbohydrates. So making sure you definitely want to get your 0.8 grams minimum of protein powder. I always find it funny whenever I've done talks throughout the years and I tell, please repeat questions so I know what you're answering. Sorry, I was answering, is the protein calculation still the one you want to target if you're overweight? So if you wanted to, if you need to lower overall, or need to lower overall calorie intake, but protein is really important. Keto diet, I tend to do a lower carbohydrate, higher protein, a little bit higher fats, but I still do have carbohydrates. And I think it's about finding what works best for you. I personally can't restrict any one food group, because then that to me, because of my triggering with eating disorders, because of me, that's taking one food group out. And I need to be able to really have a balanced, all around balanced meal. That's what I find works best for me though. And I find with most of us, you end up falling off. I did keto talks a couple of years ago, and I've had women in the audience and they'd be like, I did so good and I lost lots of weight, and then I had wine and it just went downhill from there, right? So it becomes this again. So that's why I find if you can have a little bit more of a balanced meal plan where you're having protein, you're having carbohydrates, you're not villainizing anything, but you're really being mindful of your eating, that helps a lot more. Is there anything particularly important for non-menstrual elders? Well, I mean, obviously you want to, it just depends on what the issue would be for anything in particular, if important for non-menstrual elders. You want to make sure that you want to look at maybe an anti-inflammatory diet. You want to make sure that you're having those vegetables, you're having good quality protein. The nutrition would be the most important thing. I think nutrition is number one above anything, right? Somebody who is non-menstruating can also take Lose It as well. Or if you find that you are struggling with water retention. Yes, I do have the flexible fasting talk. And so this is the very first talk Finlandia's ever did. I've known Finlandia and worked with the head purchase there for a number of years. And I was in there a couple months ago and I'm like, why don't I do a talk? I do them all the time. So this is why we had it more of a meeting style than webinar, but I will talk to them. And I definitely would love to do the flexible fasting one, but I do talks all the time. So if you follow me on my main page on Instagram, you'll see that I do them quite a bit. And yes, I am going to put this presentation up on YouTube. I'll send it to Finlandia as well. And then I'll put up on my YouTube channel too, because I did record it. I'm positive I pushed yes, record. So yes, I did recording it. Yes, you can have my info again. Let me go back to there. Let's see if it's up. Let me go back this way. There you go. This is so bizarre. The fasting one is interesting. So it's not, as I said, I say fasting, but then I struggle with that because I'm not telling you, you can't eat between these times, because again, that's restriction. It really is about connecting to when I'm hungry and paying attention to when you're hungry and honoring your hunger cues. It was actually a really important way for me to land in a better relationship with food, because I honor my body when I'm hungry. I don't restrict. So I will keep you guys posted though, but if you are part of Finlandia's group, they'd probably send a reminder out. They'd be doing the fasting one too. All right. Thank you. Yes, Finlandia does have them all, and they will be sending you the coupons. So thank you so much, everybody. As you said, if anything, you can always please give me a message on Instagram if you have any questions or if you need anything. I'm always around trying to support as much as I can. So thank you so much for taking the time with me tonight. And I hope you all have a fantastic evening. Bye, everybody. All right, let me just stop the video. There we go. Let me see if this is okay. And I can show, stop share. Thank you, Bridget, for being here.